Well, that's interesting. Okay. For
What
some
happened?
reason it didn't. Well, we're live.
Oh,
It
we are
didn't
right now?
start. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
It didn't start the beginning. Actually, let's go ahead and do this right now. Well, that's always an interesting way to start a show.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was
Welcome,
like,
everyone.
where could Minnie be if we've already started without an intro?
It's this way. The way that StreamYard has changed, they changed everything, so you have to go into like a different thing. It's not set up when you just walk in like it used to be.
I get it.
So I hit live and it's in somebody else's like thing. So,
Well, the good
anyways,
thing is you figured it out now.
yeah. Thank you for joining me, Connor.
Thank you for
And
having me.
welcome everyone to a brand new episode of Monday Night Therapy. I'm your host, Minnie Hunt, here to bring some positive vibes to your favorite therapy session of Cornhusker sports. Tonight with me, I have Connor Hayden from Corn Crazed.
Okay, wait. I thought that Monday Night
What's up?
Therapy usually was more of like a therapy for negative vibes, trying to bring the positive vibes. So John, who was the host that I've seen doing this before, he would try his best to shed light on all the good things when there weren't many good things to talk about. Is your role to just be more positive and to be a more uplifting show? What's the vibe now with Minnie in charge?
Okay, Connor, you've known me for quite a while now. Do you
Yeah.
think I have a negative bone in my body?
I think you struggle, to be honest, sometimes about the negativity. I think you like to paint the world in rainbows, which I totally respect and I get it because it's dark to live in John's world when everything is negative and you want to be in the bathroom because everything's shit or whatever he says.
That's exactly why I'm here. Yeah.
Okay,
It's
that
my
makes
job.
sense.
I mean, remember when you asked me to be on your show
Yeah.
and you were talking about Ed Foley, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Connor, I can't in good conscience say anything negative about Ed Foley because he's been a tremendous recruiter for Nebraska. He loves Nebraska and he's just so gung-ho.
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel the same exact way. Even after this last season, I am happy, however, that we did get a new special teams coach.
Here's the issue with that mentality. Like, let's be real about it. If you had another person in that position, and it doesn't have to be the special teams coordinator that you just referred to, it could be anyone who does their job. If they're not living up to the main points of emphasis that they're supposed to, whatever the main job criteria is that Matt Rule has for them, there are plenty of other people who could. And it's not that they needed to exceed, it's that they needed to meet the expectation. And when you have someone who's unable to meet the expectation, it's hard to find a silver lining. Yes, sure, he did some things okay, but when you don't meet the bare minimum, there are plenty of others who could have at least met that. And in this line of work, when you're Matt Rule and you're making as much money as he is, and when you have the expectations you do to build the program back, I just feel like you have to have killers on your team. You have to have guys who are going to exceed the expectations, guys who are going to work up and get promoted and be into better positions by the time they leave there, not guys who stay stagnant or do the just enough to get by kind of deal, right? That's why I didn't want you to bash on him, but I just wanted to get a realistic look, a realistic take. And I think that's what I've always been about on my show. Let's be realistic.
You are. And honestly, it's so breathtaking. But you also give us that glimmer of hope, which I love.
I always try. Well, that's the thing. I always try to be realistic. And when you're talking about realistic in college football, anything can happen season to season. What's so interesting is you saw TCU, who hired Sonny Dykes, and they had Max Duggan, a team that I don't even know if they were a 6-win team, a 7-win team, what they were back in 2021. But in 2022, they had a great year. They ended up in the national championship against Georgia. If that could happen for TCU, that could definitely happen this year at Nebraska. It could have happened last year at Nebraska. There are certain things that have to get tweaked. And I think if you've watched what's gone on over the offseason, which if you're watching Monday Night Therapy on Corn Nation, you've definitely been watching what's going on in the offseason. There are a lot of reasons to be excited and optimistic. And yeah, I'm not making content for a while because I've just got a lot of things on my plate. But if I was going to make some offseason content right now, I'd be selling the shit out of this new coaching staff. I'd be talking about a lot of these new players. There's so much newness and there's so much reason to look forward and say, wow, Nebraska could really do some damage. Yes, I know it's every single year we say the same things, but what's happening with Matt Rule is he keeps attacking points of emphasis that need to be improved upon, right? You look at the fumbling and the interception issue last year, he attacked it. They did improve. They weren't fantastic because Dylan obviously threw 12 or 13 picks, but they got better. Then you looked at this offseason, they needed to get the special teams going. I think with Eckler back there as the special teams guy now, they're going to be able to be a lot more efficient. So my point in saying all this is there are these points of emphasis that he's attacking. They're going to start to improve on it, and we're going to start to get a better result. It's just taking a lot longer than we'd hope because in this sport, you want instant gratification. You want to see the turnaround that Dion had at Colorado, where you take a team that had, 1 win, and they end up with 9 wins, And I'm not shouting out Dion as like a good coach that I wish Nebraska had or anything like that, or trying to compare the two. I'm just giving you.
Yeah, don't do that.
People want the instant gratification, which I do too. It's just hard to expect that.
Okay. So Connor.
Yeah.
We need to kind of take a pause, put a pause on that. We're going to go back to that. I want to talk about, I'm sure you watched the Super Bowl yesterday.
I did watch the Super Bowl yesterday.
Well, okay. Why don't you just tell us all real quick what you've been up to? Because, why we haven't seen you very much. Because I know, but I know a lot of people don't know.
Oh, I think I'm going to take a break for a little bit. So when football season ended, I was like, there are 2 ways I could use my time. One way is my hobby, which is Corn Crazed, and I could have a lot of fun trying to make content and long form videos and doing live streams. But interest has cooled down since we don't have a season. So I was like, do I really want to spend a lot of time there, or do I want to build up some of my other businesses and figure that out? So I've been working on some other things. So I haven't been making as much content. At the same time, I'm actually going to move. So this is my last video in this studio ever. There will never be a video in this room again. I don't know if you can tell there's an echo. I took down all my sound panels about 45 minutes ago. I sold them on Facebook Marketplace, all of them on my doors. Gosh. There were like 80 of them. Got rid of all of them. So this is my last video here. I'm going to move back into my mom's on Sunday. People love to say on my channel when I first started, they're like, oh, this guy lives in his mom's basement. It's like, yeah, okay, funny. But no, I'm going to move back into my mom's, and I'm going to drop all my stuff there. Then I'm going to go on a little tour. I'm going to go to Scottsdale for I think probably like 10 days. I'm going to stay with a friend. Then I'm going to go to Austin for 10 or 12 days and stay with another friend. He just got a house out there. Then I'm going to go to Miami to my friend's wedding. And then I'm going to go back to Orange County where my mom lives. I think I'm going to pick up all my stuff. And by then I should have a decision on where I want to sign a lease, because it's not going to be in California. And then maybe April or May, sign a lease somewhere else. And start a new life. I'm a guy who's rebuilt and started my life over like 5 different times in my 20s. Now I'm going to be 32 in a couple months. So this is my like 6th reset. It's almost like I do career resets. I get bored of what I'm doing, or I need more out of life. So I change up what I've got going on. So this is one of those moments where I'm going to change things up. I don't know what the future of Corn Crazed is. I don't know how much content I'm going to make. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just kind of living my life right now. And that's why I haven't been making as much content. I'm figuring it out.
I love that, Connor, because one, you said Scottsdale, and that's like, right here. You're coming here, right?
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
That's the goal.
The plan is to probably move there. Yeah, I think I'm gonna move there. Mm-hmm. I get so many messages from people who subscribe to Corn Crazed, and they all tell me I live in Arizona. I would love to hang out with you. It's crazy that there are so many people out there who watch the content. I'm like, wow, it's like a hub for Nebraska fans. Who would have thought?
Connor is, I'm talking about you like you're not here, but you're one of the coolest people in the Husker YouTube world.
Well, thank you, Minnie.
you've always encouraged me, and that's the reason why I'm here to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay, so what'd you think of the Super Bowl yesterday? Let's just kind of give. I know you probably had money on what?
All right, so here's the situation. I'm going to give you the rundown, okay? Before the game started, my dad called me. I have a group chat with my dad and a few friends. One of my friends is a total degenerate bettor or gambler. And then you got my dad, who's normal. And then you have another friend who doesn't really gamble. And then you have me, who's kind of intermediate. I'm a degenerate sometimes, but for the most part, intermediate. I had a lot of plays I really liked yesterday. A lot. I wanted to take the Eagles live because I was hoping I could get on the Eagles +3. I had a bunch of player props, whatever. So we get to right before kickoff, and I end up saying I'm going all in on the Eagles. As soon as the Chiefs score and get a lead, we're hammering Eagles. Well, as you saw, the Eagles took the lead and never looked back. It was total domination. So I settled for one small bet on the Eagles +1. So I was happy that the Eagles won because I was obviously on the Eagles. But I never got my opportunity to live line them because the Chiefs were so incompetent. It was so frustrating. So that was my Super Bowl experience. I was just frustrated the entire time that I didn't get my bets in. But I had some player props. It was what it was. So from that perspective, I was happy the Eagles won because I bet on them. But as a fan, I was really looking forward to something more competitive. I was really looking forward to seeing the defensive line for the Chiefs get pressure because now Nebraska's got an assistant defensive line coach from the Chiefs, but unfortunately he never got home. And the Eagles it was their time. It was their turn. It was interesting. There were a lot of reactions online. Social media has made the Super Bowl so interesting because you've got TikTok now that takes and dissects all of the happenings with the celebrities and the halftime show and the commercials and all these little nuanced things that all things that I don't really care about when I watch because I am actually interested and invested in the football game itself. But when you're watching all of it, it's like, man, this is such a spectacle. And there are so many things people are sending you. And yeah, I thought the halftime performance was kind of whatever. And I wasn't really into it. I'm not a big Kendrick Lamar fan. I used to like his music more than I do now. And I felt like he tried to make it a moment about his beef with Drake, which the only winner in that situation was Drake because he wasn't even in the room and he got mentioned basically the entire time. So that was my take on the Super Bowl halftime performance. And yeah, it was just kind of an underwhelming outcome because I didn't get to see anything too competitive, but it was what it was. We'll get another Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, it was interesting. But here's the thing, after all that, right? After all this hoopla, somebody sends this to me. Okay, I'm going to show this image. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a bunch of memes with, what was his name? Mahomes looking like Raiola in the Super Bowl, like trying to make jokes, which is so stupid. And in my head, as a logical fan, I'm like, okay, wait. Let's go break down the stats. Let's go talk about what the real Dylan was. Everyone likes to be ridiculous and make all their jokes, but Dylan got unnecessary hate. But, I've learned from very powerful, very successful people that as long as they're talking about you, you're winning. Doesn't matter if it's bad or good. So Dylan getting talked about as much as he does, it's just making his money grow. It's making his fame and his stardom grow. It's making Nebraska's brand grow. So I appreciate it. Keep bringing it on. All Prize Picks posted about it. Pardon my take. Barstool Sports. Everyone should post about it. And just let Nebraska's, hate train go up because people don't like Dylan for dumb reasons.
What the heck? And I do get that, Patrick, he threw 2 interceptions. He got sacked 3 times. That all of that sounds familiar. We've dealt with that, but
it was interesting that the Chiefs didn't have an O-line. The Chiefs had 0 line. It wasn't Mahomes' fault, right? It was just an abysmal performance for them. But at the same time, the Eagles' defense was just ferocious, and they couldn't freaking do anything to defend against that. So I don't know.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Here, on a little happier note, this is what I liked the most. Was seeing Dylan signing autographs.
This is from the Chiefs game that he went to. What was that? The divisional championship?
Was this okay?
This one is from 3 weeks ago at the divisional championship. And
was he signing autographs yesterday? Because I saw
no. He wasn't there yesterday. He wasn't at the Super Bowl.
Oh.
So he was at the game when they beat the Bills. So it was the AFC championship game is what it was. But yeah, he was there with Dawson Merritt because I think Dawson Merritt's dad's a corner coach for the Chiefs.
That's right. Actually, you know what? I have a picture of that. Yeah, you're right.
It's
have
so
the
crazy
picture
how
of
Nebraska's so tight to
these
the
guys.
Chiefs, like they've got so many connections to that team.
Do you
There
mean
you
this
go.
picture? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And our new guy,
Terry Braden.
Terry Breed. Yep. Yeah. What do you
Nice.
think of? Okay, so what do you think of all the new coaches? Like we have 8 new coaches. Well,
Well, they're in a
new
desperate,
position.
you're in a desperate situation. The entire sport is changing so fast that Matt Rule has to keep up with the Joneses at this point. So when all of the other schools are spending as much money as they are, Nebraska has to do the same. As much as people emphasize getting the best players, you also have to have the best coaches. Nebraska had plenty of talent last season, especially on special teams. The problem was they had a few holes that weren't addressed, and the right special teams coach would have been able to take care of that, right? Then you look at the other positions, you look all over the board, and if you would have had the right leadership in place, because Matt Rule cannot do everything. We've talked about it 100 times. He is the CEO. He overlooks things, and he's got his hand in every pot. But you've got to have experts who can lead the way at their spot. So when you don't have the right coaches in position, which Nebraska hasn't had under Scott Frost or under Matt Rule early on, they're going to fail in those areas, which we've watched. So I'm really excited that Matt Rule's taken the initiative to go out and find the best of the best and try and figure out how to fix the flaws. That's Nebraska's main concern right now, is fix what's not working, because every other school around the country is doing that. You hear about all these general managers at bigger programs like Alabama. I think they hired the guy from Washington, and then Notre Dame's guy left for USC. I'm sure Notre Dame will go and get someone even bigger. But those guys have their hands in multiple things as well. They're worried about player personnel. Nebraska has to pay attention to every single detail, since all of these other schools are. And yeah, I'm really excited about what's going to happen next, because I just think Matt Rule has his finger on the pulse.
Exactly right. Okay, so Phil Simpson, he was first hired as an analyst, and now he's like Matt Rule's right hand. So he's basically like the other eyes and ears that everything's being run through.
Okay.
And Matt Rule said he was interviewing special teams coaches.
Okay.
Because he has a different outlook on it, which I think is so great to have somebody that you totally respect there that has that true focus on what's really important.
What about Phil Snow? Did he say Phil Snow's kind of like that too?
That's who Phil. Yeah, that's.
Oh, I thought you said Philip Simpson.
No.
Maybe I heard you wrong. Maybe I heard you wrong.
That's what I meant. Sorry. Phil Snow. You're right.
Okay. I was like, wait.
You heard me. I think I did say
Philip Simpson.
Phil Simpson. So no, that's who. I mean, it's really, really important now that we have all of these rules that are changing, that we can have as many football coaches and analysts as we want, basically,
right?
To fill as many roles as we can. So
yeah,
that's why we have an outside linebackers coach and an inside linebackers coach. Did you ever think that would happen?
I know other schools have done it, but I didn't know Nebraska would think that was necessary. I mean, yeah, I just like that Nebraska is paying attention to every position they possibly can. And they're like, okay, well, if this is an area we need to exceed, we need to excel in and exceed what the expectation was before, then gotta do what you gotta do. I'm just glad Nebraska has the budget to do it. I'm glad they have the money, because a lot of schools I know wouldn't be able to. I did hear that Ohio State ran at like a $20 million deficit last year, which I wonder how true that is. And I wonder how much that matters. Like, how do they make up for that money? Like, how's that work? I don't know the inner workings of it. The beauty of being a fan is I don't need to know. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect me. But you hear about it and it's like, I'm interested in why that was the way it was, or how they're going to fix it. But again, I'm a fan. It doesn't affect me. The people who get paid millions of dollars to run these big programs can deal with it. As long as their team's winning, we're happy.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Ohio State, I think, has plenty of money that they can do that. I mean, they have money in the coffers. So that's just, and it is. I mean, Matt Rule even said whoever spends the most seems to go the furthest.
Well, yeah, you ask like the Yankees and the Dodgers, right? Those are the teams that spend the most in baseball, and they end up winning the most. So the same thing can go for college football. When you have no salary cap and you can go unlimited spend, you can really do some damage. I am interested to see what happens over the next, couple of years. I do think they're going to implement some sort. I don't know if it'll be a cap or if there will be limitations, but they aren't going to let it be the wild, wild west of which it is today. So a lot of these players who are getting super freaking rich for no reason, like Bryce Underwood at Michigan, That's kind of a flash in the pan deal. It's going to happen for a couple of years and then never again, because it doesn't make sense. It's too egregious, and it makes it so that the gap between the good and the bad teams is way too big. You're going to have NFL style teams. They're built with all of these players who should be at, 7 or 8 different schools, but they're really only going to one school because that one school has the most money to spend. So there's a lot of change coming. I enjoy watching it all, and that's what makes college football so fun.
Okay. I do too. Okay. So I'm going to show a couple of comments here.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Bush says, I'm a big fan of Connor.
Oh, well, thank you, Terry.
Yeah, so nice. Glad you're here. Pit Snipe Husker says, Ed Foley, Hillbilly Cafe Ambassador. I mean, come on, really?
Well, Ed Foley does post a lot of food pictures. He goes like all around Nebraska posting up the food he eats, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah, but I don't know if I would say hillbilly. That's all.
I mean, I don't even know what you describe a hillbilly as. I think Ed Foley's a little more sophisticated than a hillbilly. I take a hillbilly as somebody who maybe isn't the most educated, not the most well spoken. Ed Foley seemed to be pretty on top of it.
Oh yeah, he is. All right, and then another one from Pit Snipe. He says, Ed versus Eck, no contest.
Yeah, right. So far. Let's make sure Eck does the job first. I mean, crowning people before they even do anything is a little ridiculous. We've had plenty of hires, we've had plenty of players come in where we all say, oh my God, this is going to be the next one. And then are they the next one? No. And so hopefully people don't get too excited about something that, isn't going to be as...
Come on.
I just like to be realistic. People love to drink Kool-Aid to the point where it's coming out of their damn ears. And then we get into the season and they're like, oh my God, this isn't, things are going whatever way. It's like, well, if you wouldn't have gotten so excited and amped up when there was no reason to, then you wouldn't be so stressed out and so let down. One thing I remember about Jeff Sims, people were talking about Jeff Sims is the next coming of XYZ and he's going to be a superstar and da-da-da. And I thought to myself, man, Jeff Sims, I'm optimistic because the coaches were excited about him. But there is nothing in his past that says he's going to be a solid Big Ten quarterback. There was hope because of the coaches. There was hope because of the media hype. But there was no reason to believe it. Now, with Eckler, you can argue, well, this guy's already done it at Nebraska. He's done it in the SEC at the highest level. His job, is probably something he's going to be able to come in and live up to what he was able to do before. But I just don't like to get too ahead of myself. I don't like to be like, oh, we're going to crown these guys king today. I just like to wait and see a little bit more because we have been burned in the past and I am tired of it, Minnie. I'm tired of every single year hyping shit up, getting too excited, and then watching the wheels fall off and us saying, how could that have happened? And it's like, dude, you got way too excited because you're just an optimistic person. And you got to really, pull it back a little bit.
All right, dude. This is what I'm going to show you. Have you seen this picture?
I haven't seen that picture.
This is when Mike Eckler played at K-State.
Really? That's how he looked? That is insane. I mean, that's a great representation of what you would hope a special teams player looked like, right? Fiery, might not be the most skilled, wouldn't be like the DB who's going to go and do what Cooper DeJean did yesterday, but he's going to play super hard. He's going to run as fast as he possibly can and knock somebody's head off. So maybe I should have a little more confidence in this guy. He has the specialist mentality, I think. I like that picture. That's a great representation.
Okay, so I did a little research on Mr. Eckler.
Okay.
And his players that have played for him have called him Madman, Crash, because he's the one that puts the helmet on and goes and crashes with them.
I love that. Yeah.
Wrecking Ball. They say when everybody else has the energy level of a 10, which you think is the highest.
Yep.
His is 20.
How old is this guy?
He's not that old. He's like in his 40s.
Oh, I love it. Young enough to be relatable. Love it.
So
listen, I'm not saying this,
a lot from special teams.
He's 53. I'm looking at him right now with a
bloody 53.
He's got I see a bunch of pictures of the one that you're showing similar. Yeah, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not specifically targeting this one coach, right? I'm just saying in general, you've got all these coaches who come in and people get way ahead of themselves and get way too excited. If I had to bet money, I'm saying Mike Eckler is going to produce a top 25 unit in the next couple of years on special teams, and they're going to be fired up to have him there. So I definitely like him as a special teams coach. I think this is a game-changing hire. And I'm not downplaying it. I was just saying generally people get really ahead of themselves. I've watched it 1,000 times before. As you know, Minnie, I read the comments. So I know what the hell fans think and the way they think it. But yeah, I'm pumped up for him. This is going to be massive for Nebraska. I'm telling you, when we get close to season, I'm going to have a really hard time predicting 9 or less wins. Like it's going to feel like 9, 10. It's going to feel like Nebraska's in a really good position with a guy coming back at quarterback who hopefully is in a better offense that fits a skill set, and then some new weapons around him who could be really explosive.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. The thing about him is he doesn't even need that much of a talented special teams. He took freshmen halfway through the season.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
he's like, you guys aren't freshmen anymore. You get out there. And if you can't play, you're not playing. Like if you can't, he calls it flying 40s. It's 40 yards from the 35 to the 25. And whoever can get there the fastest, basically wins. So I mean, it's on with him.
Well, I remember I had a friend who played at Mater Dei, which is like, one of the best schools in California. Bryce Young went there, all the a bunch of Heismans. They got tons of really good players. Anyway, they don't play freshmen because, I mean, at any big school, your freshmen don't get to play until they're sophomores. You have to play junior varsity. I remember this kid showed me a video. And he's like, yeah, I earned my way onto varsity because of special teams. And so I was like, what was it? I was 14 years old at this time. I was like, what was it? How'd you get onto varsity? And he showed me the clip. This guy ran full speed downfield and crushed a senior who was playing at some other big school who was a D1 player, crushed him. And I was like, wow, this 14-year-old kid crushed this senior at the time, would have been like 17 or 18, fully developed. And that just shows you don't have to be a developed guy. It can be any player on the field. Just have to be athletic enough to get down there and put yourself in a position to make a play. So yeah, special teams, Nebraska will have plenty of guys who can fill the roles. It's not like they got to develop guys into those spots. They already have the athletes to get it done. So I'm extremely optimistic they're going to be able to be successful in year one with Eckler on that side.
Drinking the Kool-Aid. I can see it.
Look. I always drink the Kool-Aid to some degree. I'm always hyped up. I'm always a believer. It's not like, I'm just trying to cool my jets and not get too crazy about shit,
Well, Never Mind Me says, hey, Connor, Kool-Aid was literally invented in Nebraska, and we love it.
Trust me, I know Nebraska fans love Kool-Aid. I know. But yeah, and I also heard it was invented in Nebraska. I remember for one of my first videos, Minnie, back in like 2021, I went and got Kool-Aid packets at the grocery store to hold up in my video as like a little in my intro to show Kool-Aid. It was like some dumb thing, but I do remember finding out Kool-Aid was invented in Nebraska and then putting Kool-Aid in my video.
That is so cute. Okay, I have not seen that video.
I tried to be creative back then. I was trying to do anything I could to like stand out because I had 0 followers. Maybe I had like, 150 subs. I had to do something different and look unique. Wanted to be a little YouTube-y, It worked. I got subscribers.
Hey.
All those.
What was the biggest thing that you did? What was the biggest jump that you took that you can remember? Do you remember?
Yeah, there were 2 of them. The first one was my sticker giveaway. So I told people, if you subscribe to the channel, I'll give you a sticker. I had little Corn Crazed stickers. I'm not kidding you. I sat there writing everybody's address out. It was hundreds of envelopes I was signing and just sending these stickers out. It was like a job. So I did that. That got me a big boost, like probably 700 subs. And then I did a video where I said Luke McCaffrey versus Adrian Martinez, and basically a QB battle who would win the job. And I believe I argued on the side of Luke McCaffrey just to stir the pot and start conversation. I probably only had 500 subscribers, and that took me to 3,000 or something. That was a really big boost. So yeah, the Luke McCaffrey video was probably one of my biggest ones. That was a big one early on. It was easier to grow on YouTube back then. People try and start YouTube channels now with talking about Nebraska, but it's so oversaturated. The other thing is the big dogs in Nebraska content weren't on YouTube. So Sean Callahan didn't have On3 and the Husker Online show on YouTube yet. He was just doing written content and then some stuff on Twitter. Anything that was on YouTube was really basic and simple. Once I got YouTube going, I think it opened some people's eyes. Callahan hopped on YouTube with this podcast. Adam Carricker hopped onto YouTube. Adam and I talked about it. He was coming from Facebook and he's like, man, I think I can be successful on YouTube. And I told him, you definitely could. That's when I did my partnership with him and
I remember.
we built his base up. So there was no competition. Now you have the big dogs, plus you have all of these casual fan channels, ones that started just how I started. And you're just hit with so much freaking content. So different time, different era. I also started making content during COVID. I was making some videos back when no one had anything else to watch. So I was at my apartment trying to figure out what was going on with the 2020 season because we were afraid we wouldn't get one. So I was making content about that. I was terrible back then. I mean, Minnie, it was so cringe and so awkward. I looked back at the videos. Did I show them to you?
No, you haven't shown them to me. I want to see them.
I'll show you in person. They're on my phone. They were so bad and I was so awkward. I felt like I was good. I felt like I was decent. But when you look back, I'm like, geez, how were these even watchable? But the reason they were watchable is because it was the only option. It was the only thing on TV. So you're like, okay, well, if I'm going to watch something about Nebraska, this is my only option, I guess. I'm going to watch Connor, this guy in his bedroom, talk about things.
Connor, I mean, don't say that about you. I've always loved watching you. So you
started watching once I got better, you know. I see that Pinstripe asked, where am I at subscribers and views now? Yeah. I'm at like 23,500, somewhere in that range, creeping up towards 24K subs. And views, I am averaging probably 15,000 a video, somewhere around there, 16,000.
Wow.
I think my last, when I sent my sponsorship kit out, it was like 16K views a video. It was really good. My numbers were really, really strong. I will tell you, my views did dip as more people came into the space, because what happened was you had people coming in and they make breaking news content, which I am against. I don't do breaking news. I'm not a news reporter. I leave that to someone like a Sean Callahan or the Rivals team. I hated watching people go on and try, like on Twitter, you would see people do it. I'm not targeting anybody, by the way, but you would see a lot of accounts go on there and try and say breaking news, XYZ happened. Well, the only people who have the authority to break news are people who can verify it as a fact. And that's On3 or Rivals. So I never wanted to be that guy. Unfortunately, if you want to be successful right now on YouTube, you have to put that type of content out because that's what people are looking for. The problem is it's not fun for me. I don't want to go and put out a news story where it's like breaking news, Nebraska just hired special teams coach Mike Eckler, and give my reaction in 2 minutes. I'd rather go and do some research, then put a video, put a video out that's got a bunch of information in it about that person and have it be something that's actually valuable for a fan to watch, that they can learn something different and not just see an ESPN headline. If you want the ESPN headline, go to On3, go to Rivals, and you get the instant reaction from a news reporter who's fact checked and verified it, right? So yeah, just different type of content. I don't even know why we were talking about that, but
totally different.
We're talking about views. We're talking about views. And that's why my views have gone down, because I make a different style of video. And it's just YouTube's an ever-changing place. It's always changing. I really enjoy and appreciate my live streams more than anything. I think I started YouTube because I wanted to turn my hobby into something where I could meet other people who were interested in the exact same thing. So everyone knows I'm from California, born and raised. I spent a lot of my childhood in Nebraska, but I don't have a lot of friends from Nebraska. So I wanted to be able to have a base of people to talk to outside of my mom and my dad and my cousin about Nebraska football, more people who were diehard. So I started this channel to find them. It worked. I found a ton of them. And over time, I've realized I didn't start my YouTube channel because I was really passionate about having a Nebraska football YouTube channel. I started it because two things. One, like I just said, the meeting more Nebraska fans. And two, because I wanted to get on camera and start practicing and learning how to do YouTube for what my ultimate bigger goals are. Because I have much bigger goals than what I'm doing right now. So now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, well, I have all of these friends and I have all of these like subscribers who I can relate to, who I can talk to. When I meet everyone in person, it's freaking awesome. And I meet them all the time. Anytime I go to a football game, I meet at least one subscriber. Could be a football game anywhere around the country, by the way. I meet someone who's subscribed. But I love the whole communal aspect. So the one thing I love about live streaming is that people get to talk to you like we're doing right now. People can ask questions in the chat. You can integrate them in different ways. You can have other hosts on the show, and it just feels really communal. And that's my favorite part about it. I just love the whole, we're a group of fans, And yeah, that's my whole take on the views and the channel and why I started it. A lot of information.
I kind of feel like, Nebraska is such a niche market too, that it really can't grow very much more. I mean, some, but it's not going to be like a huge amount like what you experienced at the beginning.
Yeah, you kind of hit like a limit. You're like, okay, if I'm going to build this up, how many subscribers is realistic? Well, even On3 and Sean Callahan, who's had their channel for 15 years on YouTube, they're only at 47,000 subscribers. So a lot of people start these YouTube channels and they want to build it up. It's like, okay, well, just realize there is a ceiling to this when you talk about one team and you're going for one niche. Adam Carricker, same thing. Carricker's crushing it, but he's been talking about this forever. Plus, he's got a name behind him. So everyone knows who he is, but he even talks about wanting to go into the Big Ten and talk about more things because you're just limited if you only talk about Nebraska, but it's still good. I look at it as a huge accomplishment, being able to build a channel from zero to what it's been today and to get all the views and the engagement we've had. And I mean, I've made a really good living off it for 2 years. So to make the money I've made off of it.
Look at all the people, me being one of them, that you like have encouraged to do something.
Yeah, I know a lot of people.
Casual fan.
Oh, I have a lot of people who I've consulted with, people who are just subscribers, and now they have other channels or they do other thing and they make good money off that too. So I think it's been a net positive for me, for all of our subscribers. Like this has been a really good journey, a really good experience having Corn Crazed. I'm happy with it.
Okay. So we talked about some of our coaches. Let's talk about the spring game. How do you feel about our spring game probably getting canceled? Have you ever been to a spring game?
Yeah, 2017, I went to the spring game. Who was the quarterback that year? It would have been Tanner Lee. So 2017, I went. What happened was I went to a Nebraska game in 2015. It was Nebraska-Michigan State. I met some girls that night, and I stayed friends with them. They ended up inviting me back, and I went in 2016 for a game with that group. Then in 2017, I was friends with a guy from that group. And so I went out to go to the spring game with him. So I had this like Nebraska friend group that I made in that kind of small window. So it just so happened that because my friends were out there and wanted to hang out with me, I went for the spring game. But if it would have just been pull up solo to a spring game, I probably never would have gone. It was just the fact that I wanted to go and visit a friend, So I went to that spring game, good time, but traveling to a spring game versus traveling to a real Nebraska football game, it's a way different vibe, way different experience. I still had a great time. It was cool, but I wouldn't go back to a spring game. Now, we probably won't get a spring game for a long time because it doesn't make sense anymore. Matt Rule made a great point. I loved his point about guys are trying to poach your players. So that's the first thing. The second thing is when they're doing all this roster reduction, how can you go out and be confident in playing your guys when you know damn well they could get injured? Bly Hill went out in the last spring game. Demetrius Bell went out in the last spring game. Who knows who's next? You don't want to put your guys at risk. You saw how many starters got pulled off earlier. Damn, most of the starters didn't even play more than one series or any series at all last season when we had the spring game. So it's really a showcasing for your young talent. It's really trying to get the younger guys in there and get them experience in front of the fan base in that big environment, let them get their eyes open to a new world of football because they're coming from high school. But I'm kind of indifferent on it. It sucks that we don't have more to talk about. Like fans love to get anything they can. You'd love to see anything. But at the same time, the college football landscape is changing so much. You got to do its best to ultimately win. That's my number one thing. I want to watch this team win. So if this is what it takes to win, by all means, don't give me a spring game.
Oh gosh. What are we going to do? What are we going to do in April?
I mean, I've got plenty of other things to do. I'll tell you that. When I was
Connor, I know because you're moving.
Well, not even the moving. Listen. When you guys, I don't know how many people are like me. I think my situation was unique because I was doing YouTube. My life from mid-August until mid-January is football. That's my life. I went to like 14 games around the country this last season. I watched football 5 days a week this season when it was on. I was watching MAC games. I was watching the Tuesday night, Wednesday night, whatever night was on, I was watching it. No dates, no hanging out with my friends. I was locked in. So for me, because I'm such an addict, some people, it's the whole wedding idea, right? Like I'm an extremist about everything I do. I mean, you can't not be an extremist when you're a 20-something-year-old starting a YouTube channel about your favorite football team. That's, it's just ridiculous. I'm an extremist in every way as a fan. But like I told my sister and all my friends, I will not be at your wedding if it falls on one of these 15
Ever.
Saturdays during the football season. I
If
just
it's
won't
on a
go.
Saturday.
Yeah, I told my sister, if you really want to have your wedding, you have 52 weeks. Just do it on one of the other 40 weeks. And if you don't want me there, I totally am okay with not going. It's not a big deal, but you've got all these days. My point in saying that is I don't miss games ever. I watch everything. I'm addicted to football. So because I go so damn hard in that window, I need to use the rest of the year to balance myself out because I've got to travel and do other things. I've got other friends. I've got other work. I've got other interests, other hobbies. I have a lot going on. So I have no problem taking a break during the off season when I know I'm going to get September, October, November, December full on of, degenerate football watching.
Okay, you guys. Pit Snipe wants to know, Connor doesn't know girls. He's lying. Absolutely he does. I've met them. He knows girls. Besides, I'm a girl. Duh. Okay. And I get it, Connor. You absolutely need a life. But, it's just sad for the rest of us that really don't have a life that we're gonna miss out on April.
Look. Here's the beauty. There's so much that happens with the transfer portal. There's so much that happens with recruiting. There's so much drama now with coaching changes. And
I know.
There's just so much shit that goes on in college football. Even though you don't get the spring game, there's so much other nonsense to follow and listen to that it never feels like it ends. If you watch Josh Pate's show, who's obviously like the biggest college football podcaster, he talks about how there's no offseason, which I'm starting to agree with. Everything is go all year round.
It's all merging together.
Yeah.
And there really isn't a whole lot of downtime. I mean, but here's the other thing. Rule has gotten smart about things, and we're getting a lot less content. We hardly ever see them,
Well, okay. I want to defend Matt Rule here. We weren't getting anything from Scott Frost. I mean, absolutely zero. I remember talking to the people who worked in social media back then. And I was like, man, I wish we could get more access. And they're like, yeah, nothing we can do. This is what we can give you. Then when Matt Rule came in, I talked to the same guys and they're like, dude, Rule is totally all for us doing whatever we want to do. And he wants to make sure we get as much exposure onto the program as possible. And I remember I made a video when Matt Rule first got hired. And I talked about how important it was to get the brand out there and to make more content and all that. And it felt like Matt Rule watched the video based on the content output that came shortly after, right? But it was so impressive that he had his finger on the pulse and he understood, man, we do need to showcase this program. We do need to show what we have going on because people around the country don't understand what Nebraska is or what it has to offer. They have this BS facade in their head and we need to wipe that away and show them how great this place really is. And it's worked. It's freaking paid. It's paid off because Matt Rule now has the advantage when he walks into rooms, when he goes around the country and people know all about Nebraska. He talks about it all the time. And part of that has to do with the content output. So yeah, they're killing it. I love their content output. I know people are complaining that there wasn't a, what do you call it? Chasing 3 after the bowl game, right? But they're busy after the bowl game. The guys who make it have other lives, right? They were probably just happy to get done with the season. But Nebraska does a really good job getting content out. And I'm so appreciative that they have because that inside access to get us through the week, 43-minute videos, that was freaking awesome to watch. And a lot of programs don't do that.
It's true. I feel like we're kind of setting the bar for a lot of this stuff. Dana Williams says, he says, the Chasing 3 series was great. Thanks to Coach.
My favorite part of the Chasing 3 series, everything, all of the videos, the best clip was when Nebraska played Colorado and you had the Will Compton part. And when he came on the screen and said, go Big Red, and the whole stadium did it, that was the best thing to see. And the Chasing 3 from that game where it just showed the fan atmosphere and how crazy amped up people were. I mean, I've been to a lot of really good Nebraska games, but that's one of the greatest football games I've been to, period. The only thing that would have made it better is if it was actually a competitive game, because the problem was there was a letdown. Nebraska started off so hot and then they never scored again. It just kind of slowly tailed off. It was pretty boring. And it was just like, this game could have been done at halftime and we would have all been able to celebrate and be happy. Because we all left the game feeling like it was a win by half, it didn't give you that same exhilarating feeling leaving the stadium, but it was still an amazing experience and one of the best games ever for me.
I felt like we let the foot off the gas after half.
Yeah, they did. Well, when you go and blow a team out so early, what are you going to do? It was like last night with the Eagles. They let their foot off the gas outside of their one explosive pass that was deep to, I think it was Devontae Smith. Outside of that one bomb, it was just like, what's the point? We dominated these guys. Our defense is taking care of it. Our offense can just run the ball out and we're chilling.
Yeah. Okay, so that's actually twice that you and I have met at a Colorado game.
Yeah, we met at 2 Colorado games. Wow. What's our next game we're going to meet at?
That's okay, so I'm going to pull up the schedule here.
Okay.
What are we thinking?
All right, I'm definitely, it's really hard for me to say I'm not going to the Cincinnati game. Like, it's in Kansas City, which is easy for me to get to no matter where I live. So I think Kansas City for Cincinnati, that's got to be a go. I'm going to go to that one. And it's in the Chiefs Stadium. It's going to be a home game. It's season opener. So Cincinnati, check that. We're going to that. I'm going to that at least.
Check. Okay.
You're going?
Got it? Okay. Yes.
No, I'm asking. I don't want to force you into anything. I'm just curious.
You're not forcing. Really? Do you have to twist my arm?
I don't know. I don't know. You got a family. You got a lot going on. I'm not trying to tell you, you got to go. Anyway. Okay. So Cincinnati, check.
Yeah.
Michigan, my dad wants to go and he wants to bring his wife because his wife's never been to a Nebraska game. So we talked about going. The problem is my dad's, a little bougie and he has an expectation for where he stays. So we got to get the right hotel. The first hotel that he wants to stay in is the Embassy Suites. That was sold out before you could even book it. So I got to look and see if there's any other options and what we can do. Michigan's an option I'm going to go to if we can get a hotel. Otherwise, I might not go to the Michigan game. What are you going to do? Are you going to go to the Michigan game or opt out?
I don't know.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
I always try to go right around because my birthday is the 30th. So I always try to I'll go to probably one of those games, either Michigan or Michigan State. But
I mean, they're both going to be huge. I think the Michigan game is going to be, it's just going to be a spectacle because Michigan's fans travel well. It's got a rivalry kind of feel to it for Nebraska fans because we feel like we're equal to them, Michigan fans don't look at it that way.
Yeah, I think I'd like to go to that game.
So that's when I really do want to go.
Pencil that in.
Yeah, that one I'm going to as long as I can get a hotel room.
Okay.
The next one, I've told you this, this, I have a deep-rooted connection to USC football. A lot of my friends played football there, went to school there. My dad went there. I grew up with season tickets. I've been to 1 billion USC games. I know USC like I know Nebraska. So I'm very tight. It's hard for me to say I'm going to miss a Nebraska USC game. Now, I will tell you, there is a world where I don't want to go to this game because it is a mission for me to go to games in Nebraska. It's a trek. Okay.
It is. Yeah.
But I won't go if USC is bad or if Nebraska is bad. It's just, it's not going to be worth it for me. If they're both good and they're both, at this point, what would they be? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. If they're both 7 or 9 win teams, I will definitely be attending. It'll be in November, good weather. I can wear a jacket. I love it. I'm going to go to that game if they're both good. The next week is at UCLA. I will 1,000% be attending.
Definitely.
1,000%.
Oh, gosh.
Because UCLA is wherever I live. I'm going to live on the West Coast, right? So wherever I live, I'm going to the UCLA game. I went to the UCLA game 2012 when Taylor Martinez had that huge run and Nebraska ended up losing that day. So I need to see Nebraska win one in the Rose Bowl. I've never seen that.
We need to beat UCLA. I cannot stand their head coach.
Yeah, I can't either. He's got this attitude about him. And I just didn't like the way Nebraska lost to them last year.
No, we should never have lost that game.
No.
What about Penn State? I mean, that's going to be a great game.
Penn State I went to. So I went to Nebraska at Penn State back in 2013. Nebraska won on an overtime field goal. I think Kenny Bell had a kick return for a touchdown that day. Maybe that was 2011. What year was that? 2011, I went to Michigan, Nebraska. 2012 might have been Penn State. Doesn't matter. I went to Nebraska,
Connor,
Penn State once.
How old were you? 15?
Minnie, I wasn't a child. I was if it was 2011, I was 18, 19, 18. You act like I'm a little kid. I'm almost your age. You're ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
You are
Thank you
ridiculous.
so much. You're so
Anyway,
sweet.
I probably wouldn't go to Penn State. That's another game that's a trek. I've already been to that stadium. If Nebraska was competing and it was like, damn, Nebraska's a really freaking good team and Penn State's a good team, we're talking about top 10 matchup, I would consider for
No.
sure. But that one's a little less
Ugh,
likely.
ugh, ugh.
Iowa,
I
I
mean, Penn
wouldn't go.
State is probably going to go all the way next year. Don't
Yeah,
you think?
they're gonna be really good. I really like Penn State's team too. I hate Drew Aller, but I
Uh,
love Penn State's team. So maybe I'd consider it.
I would
I'd
like
consider
their
it.
head coach too.
Yeah, I would consider it. I would consider it. So Cincinnati is
That'd be a fun
100%.
game. Okay.
UCLA is 100%. I would say
Okay.
Michigan is 90%.
Nice.
USC is 50%. Penn State is 25%. That's my order for percentages of what games I'll go to.
Right now, today, because it could change.
Yeah.
Could change.
Everything can change. Everything can change because I don't know what I've got going on. So yeah, that's my game plan right now. I'm looking forward to the season. It's gonna be fun. I have a lot of other games I'm going to though. Like I'm going to Texas, Oklahoma.
Oh, that sounds like a great game.
I'm going to. That's like the first Saturday in October, right? Like October 4th or something.
Oh,
I'm going
is it?
to.
Where's it at?
It's in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl. Oh, I'm going to Texas at Georgia. And that's November. I don't know what day it is. November. I don't know.
See, I would love to go to. I need to go to some of these like other stadiums.
I'm telling you, there's some great experiences around the country. I went to Ole Miss this last year. Mm-hmm. One of the best games ever. I mean, it's really hard to beat my Alabama LSU game. I went to Alabama LSU 2019, Joe Burrow versus Tua, and it was an amazing environment. LSU ended up winning, but that's one of the best games I've ever been to. So I've been to some really cool stadiums. I've got a lot more to check off the list, though. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm excited for Nebraska to go back to Oregon too. Oregon's an amazing stadium, and I watched Nebraska play there a few years ago. Great place.
Yeah, I don't think we're not playing Oregon next year.
No. They're a few years from playing Oregon, but when they do play Oregon, I'll be going.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple of these comments real quick and let you finish your packing. Okay, Pit Snipe says, beef jerky was slapping bitches down.
He was. That guy's a beast. Nice. It's crazy. I was watching something and it was showing how he was a stud tight end. Like he was catching passes from Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields in high school at like little recruiting camps. And now the guy's an all-pro center. Like, what are we talking about? How'd this guy end up being a superstar from Nebraska, playing in the Super Bowl, leading the way for Saquon Barkley? It's freaking crazy. Shout out to Cam Jurgens.
He obviously has that little Mike Eckler effect.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Where, like Charles Hollett says, a picture of a coach yelling brings back memories.
Mm-hmm.
You played football. Did you have a lot of coaches yelling at you?
Yeah, I played for really, really intense coaches. Yeah, I played for this guy, Troy Thomas at Servite. He was intense. I remember this, the way he talked, everything about him was just intense. He's like a super winning football coach, though, in California high school, multi-year state champion, like, you know, crazy football coach. And I remember just the way he talked to us in the gym and just everything was intense. And then I got to Villa Park, a different school, and the coach there, his dad's like a super decorated California high school coach. So he was mentored by him. That guy was a psychopath too. I remember him cussing me out. I was 16 years old, cussing me out about my grades. Yeah, I had a lot of coaches who yelled. Not just those guys. I mean, the assistant coaches, everybody. I played in junior college. Those coaches were intense. Yeah, I've definitely had my fair share of yelling coaches. And back then, which it wasn't even that long ago, right? This is like 10, 13, 14, 15 years ago. Back then, it was different. Now people are all sensitive, and I'm not sure how much coaches yell now. People are a lot more timid, but yeah, they were intense. I think a lot of us who are older have those experiences where we had really fiery and passionate guys coaching, leading the way.
I feel like it's more left up to the captains and the leaders of our team. Mm-hmm. I mean, I actually, Phil Simpson, he was in charge of discipline a couple of years ago.
Was he?
In 2023, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't, and obviously Eckler, nobody's going to get away with crap.
You wouldn't think.
Yeah. Okay, so last night, Aaron Rostowski says Dylan was at the basketball game yesterday. We won. It's our 4th win. Do you ever watch any other sports other than football?
No. I mean, I watch basketball from time to time, very, very once in a while. I bet on Nebraska basketball frequently, though. Whenever there's a line that I like, I don't bet basketball because I watched. I bet based on lines. I have a really, really good track record betting on college basketball. But yeah, Nebraska frequently pops up and they're a play. So I'll watch the highlights. I'll see what's going on, but I don't know a lot of their guys. I know maybe 1 or 2. I know Bryce Williams. I know Gary. I know Sam Hoiberg, but I'm not a frequent viewer of basketball or volleyball, baseball, anything like that.
Well, okay. We have baseball coming up this week.
Do
It's
they?
coming here.
Wow.
It'll be here 4 days, actually, starting off here. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think, and Monday, maybe.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm going to be going.
There's a lot going on baseball-wise out there in Scottsdale, huh?
There is.
My friend works for the Padres. He said they moved out there for 45 days.
Yeah, they do. Well, it's just good weather always. Yeah. So this is where they start off a lot. So, and we have Grand Canyon University, who's actually really good.
Really?
Yeah, for colleges. So
yeah.
All right. Well, Connor, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me showcase my studio one more time before I break it all down and move out.
Next time we see you, you'll probably be here in Arizona, huh?
Most likely, yeah. Yeah, what's crazy is we could do a live show together in person.
We could actually be in the same studio.
Yeah, we could do mic by mic, like side by side.
That'd be weird.
I know our lighting would be the same. That'd be crazy.
We did that kind of in my Lincoln. Hotel room in Lincoln.
Yeah, we filmed ourselves in a hotel room.
Different. Yeah, we did. Connor, that didn't sound good. Oh my goodness. And on that note, I guess we are gonna leave tonight. Okay, well, everybody knows that they can find you at Corn Crazed, and
you can definitely find me. You can find me on Corn Crazed, or you can find me on Twitter, and you can DM me and tell me all your takes, and I respond to all of them. I try to.
Yeah, you're awesome. Well, thank you all for your fantastic comments tonight. I appreciate each one of you for sharing your insights and love for the Huskers. Your voices matter in this community. Until next time, let's continue to lift each other up and go Big Red.